today I woke up from a dream in which I had been in 4 or 5 train crashes over and over. It was recurring within the same dream, this theme of being towards the front of a train and then another train or car, whatever, smashing into the parts of the train behind me and just going flying off the track. And it was really intense, and so when I woke up I thought, I wonder if there was a train crash. I follow BreakingNews.com because it organizes everything chronologically, and it's a good way of keeping track of world events without a lot of the more gossipy, silly stories that appear on like CNN, MSNBC, and other websites. So I started looking through, and I thought, I don't want there to be a train crash. There was a time in which I might have doubted whether or not I had these kind of premonitions and dreams. So I might want verification on some level, but I've known that I have these kind of psychic premonitions for about 13 years, so I thought, I don't want there to be a catastrophe or loss of life. And so I was putting that out as I checked for the story, but there it was. There was a train crash since I had gone to bed in Switzerland, and it was a tourist train. It was a popular train for tourists, and at least one person had died, and lots of others injured. It had gone off the tracks, and I thought about this in terms of, first of all, in the more general sense of why does this happen? Why do people have dreams in which they know things are going to happen or have happened somewhere, and some kind of catastrophe? It's not like I was going to wake up, and I had trouble sleeping falling to sleep last night, but it's not like I was going to wake up and phone the Swiss authority and say, you must stop I wasn't getting that specific of an information that I could have changed it. And so I thought, well, maybe it's just about interconnectedness, because I believe that this interconnectedness is what happens, or just is on the spirit level. All spirit is interconnected. And the more we tap into our spiritual selves, the more we tap into our interconnectedness. And that doesn't mean we gotta love everybody. We still have to set boundaries and, be with those who nourish our growth and everything like that. But there is an underlying interconnectedness to it all. And I also thought about the symbolism of this train being one that is a popular destination for tourists, and thinking that might have some significance. When I was going through my spiritual awakening about 13 years ago, things were very intensified in terms of synchronicity and so forth, and I remember oftentimes if I walked by a newsstand, I didn't watch the news or follow the news back then, but if I'd walk by a newsstand, it was like a little divination reading what the headline story was. I could make some connections or sense of it in terms of what was going on in my life, or just seeing how it's all fractals and interconnected and everything like that. And that doesn't happen as often anymore, but I thought about, for this to show up in my dream, there have been lots of catastrophes. Why this one? And I think it relates to how I've thought lately about tourism and travel that's tourist oriented, and thinking that there is a difference between how spiritually focused people live and how non-spiritually focused people live. And I think it has to do with making every day good. Because I believe that we get conditioned through the process of school, whether you want to go to school or not, you have to go to school. You can get conditioned to think that life should be 5/7 annoying. For example, your typical 40-hour Monday through Friday kind of work. It should be annoying. And then you try to have as much fun as you can on the weekends and get things done in the evenings and relax. And tourism, travel tourism, can be another form of living life for your vacations. And to me, there's something that needs to be questioned about this acceptance of life being mostly mundane and unhappy, and then filled with exciting moments in the free time and the allotted 2 weeks of vacation or whatever the typical American has outside of holidays, and instead of that, become really focused on making every day good. And that means really being committed to changing your career if you don't like it. It doesn't really matter on a spiritual level what's going on in the economy. That can be used as an excuse. And ultimately, if you are in alignment with your higher purpose, you're going to find something that you enjoy doing. That's just the way it is. You're not here to be set up as a victim who has to work with annoying people and do work that is boring and unfulfilling. You can find something that is, aligned with your purpose. I feel like once I started getting into spirituality 13 years ago, that's when I was basically guided into doing work that I could do from home that was simple and protected my energy. And before that, I always really despised the jobs that I had because it just felt like a drag to set my alarm and go in. And I just really abhorred that more than most people that just accepted it. So tourism and travel, if you are a spiritual person, of course, you may still feel guided to travel. You might not be guided towards the same kind of cliched destinations that most tourists go to. You might find something that is more peaceful and less kind of exploitation oriented or whatever. But it doesn't matter so much. There's so many people that have just come to accept that your work is your work and your playtime is your playtime, and work constitutes most of your life, and that's what it's focused around. But you're living for the weekend, you're living for your vacations, you're living for the holidays, and that's such a small percentage of your life. It's really an underutilization of how life can be. And even if you don't, find or create for yourself work that is highly rewarding, it can be about, the spiritual path can be about just finding peace through what you do and make it less of a struggle through your attitude and through accepting it. If you don't hate it, you don't necessarily need to change it, but just see it as something that you can use for your own development. No matter where you find yourself, you can ask yourself, why am I here? What lessons may I learn? I've noticed that a lot of people who are working in situations that have a kind of family dynamic, in terms of there being a boss who is a parental figure and co-workers who are sibling figures or friend figures or whatever, that this can reflect some kind of unfinished business. And so you can work through whatever it reflects in your real life, in your real relationships, in your real past situations. And as you resolve these core relational issues, then that means there's no need to be in that work environment anymore, because it has nothing more to teach you about some unfinished business or some uncomfortable, annoying, or abusive dynamic. It just isn't necessary anymore. So that can open up the energy that frees you to find something that's more liberating. And whether you are in rewarding work or not, you can find joy and peace in every day by dealing with your emotional issues and doing work, doing lots of personal growth work, so that when you get up every day, it feels like you are congruent, that you are yourself, and that you're not just living for some future point in time that is going to be better, because that is the inherent message of a travel fixation, or identifying as living for a tourist kind of experience, is, again, it's saying, I would rather be somewhere that I am not. And if you look at places people go, like France or whatever, or Japan, Australia, it's not like they are meccas of happy people. For the most part, you have the whole spectrum that exists wherever you live in terms of happiness or unhappiness. It is about generally the temporary escape from where you are. And that is just not what the spiritual path is about. It's not about escape. It is about being present where you are and allowing that to work for you. Thanks for listening.